Okay, you know what? We're just going to get into the episode. Forget about the countdown this time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Allied Rivals special podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the NFL Panic City.
Oh, yeah.
Look, everyone's been hating on the Falcons and the Cowboys and the NFC East and all of that. But it's time to put a little bit of pressure on the top teams. Granted, just to catch up, there are a couple injuries, by the way. Julian Edelman is going to have surgery. He's going to be out for multiple weeks. Andy Dalton is still in concussion protocol, making his status for Sunday in doubt. Christian McCaffrey is not going to be playing today. Kenyon Drake is going to be out for a couple weeks. Odell's out for the year. And Carlos Dunlap is officially heading to Seattle and gets to leave Cincinnati. Ugh. But it is time to put some pressure on the top contenders of each conference. We're going to go through 6 teams, the top 6 teams in terms of record in the NFC and AFC, and give on a scale of 1 to 10 how panicked we are about their chances to make it through a deep playoff run. For example, any team in the NFC East would be an absolute 10 right now, of course, because everyone has 2 wins, but we're not going to cover them. Instead, we're going to cover all of the other teams and none of the NFC East. So we threw in an extra wild card team instead of a leader there. Cademan, are you ready to get going?
You know it.
All right, we're going to try to keep this relatively succinct. We're not going to try to make this a super long episode because we just did another one. If you didn't check that one out, you should. It was about the World Series. But let's get right into it. Cademan, let's go ahead and start off with the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's arm can only take you so far, and after one of the hottest starts in football, they've kind of come crashing back down to earth to the point where it takes them 5 field goals to beat the Buffalo Bills. They are now the first team since 1941 to win a game without punting and without scoring a touchdown. On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about McDermott's Buffalo Bills?
I am really unsure what to think about this team. This is a weird team because you can see Josh Allen go off crazy. You can see Singletary play out of his mind. Or you might just see him sit back and do just about nothing. And then there's Stephon Diggs, who has had an amazing season and has adjusted really well to the offense. But in the past couple weeks, he hasn't been as good. Something that worries me a little bit. Defense supposed to be really good. Going to be not sure, like really not sure, because they're 4-2, and I'm going to put that on their defense. So, and I mean, you know what? Cole Beasley also forgot about him, man.
Yeah,
I like the looks of him. I think he's. I did not expect Cole Beasley to still be playing, man. Cole Beasley showing why he should be playing. He is a good number 2 behind Stephon Diggs. If I'm going to rate how panicked this team should be on a 1 to 10, 1 is almost no panic, 10 is high panic, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with making it deep into the playoffs. Just good playoff chances. I'm gonna give them a 5, and I think it's partly on their defense and partly on the run game, which I don't have a lot of confidence in. But then also you just have a team that can be really good and really inconsistent on any given week. So I give them a 5.
Yep. 5. I'm pretty similar to you on this. The Bills team has been ineffective on defense, especially in recent weeks. Their run game outside of Josh Allen is non-existent. When it takes you 5 field goals to beat the Jets, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's going on. Buffalo should be great. Their defense is lined with studs. Your offense is a great 1 and 2. And when John Brown gets healthy, there's your deep threat. You have Devin Singletary. But they just have not been playing anywhere like they have at the beginning of the year. They got embarrassed by the Titans. They got rolled over by the Chiefs. And now they've let up more points than they've scored. And this was the team that was scoring 50 points basically in the first week. I give the Bills a 6. If they can't get their defensive problems figured out, I'm very, very concerned for their future, especially against teams like the Seahawks and Cardinals and Steelers. Will they win the division? Absolutely. But if they want to go deep in the playoffs, they need to get some things fixed. Lightning Bauer, Bills are good, but not ready. I think I agree with that statement.
Very well put.
Yep. Number 2 team at the top of the AFC West. The Kansas City Chiefs, after their one loss to the Raiders, have started to kind of go on an angry rampage. Beat out the Bills and stormed over the Broncos, and their schedule, with the exception of the Bucs and Saints, is almost a cakewalk to the playoffs. Cademan, have the Chiefs figured everything out?
Yeah, I think their defense still needs improvement. There's always ways you can improve, especially in defense. We saw them get smoked by the Raiders, and I think it was really their defense. There was really, almost every team's gonna punt it at least once a game. That the Chiefs' offense was doing fine against the Raiders. The problem was the defense was just letting up touchdown after touchdown, field goal after field goal, whatever it was. The defense was not getting it done on the field. And so I think they've worked on that past couple weeks. But then, like you said, cakewalk to the playoffs for the rest of the season mostly. They play the Jets this week, so that's fun for them. I feel like this game is just going to kind of be watching Patrick Mahomes sit back in the pocket and take as much time as he needs till he passes to Travis Kelce. Just because of their defense, I'm gonna probably. And this is good defense, but I think they still have things to work on right now. If they don't get these things fixed, I'm hoping they do, but I'm gonna put them panic rate.
Right now, how panicked are you?
Yeah, right now, probably a 1.5.
Yeah.
I'm not very worried. I think this is a team that is really built not just around one, 2, 3 guys that can really make it far into the playoffs. Defense, fix it up. Seems like they're really getting to that right now after a big loss to the Raiders, but not a big loss. But when you lose to the Raiders, that's big. So
yeah.
So, AJ, how about you, man?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And also Lightning Bauer, Kansas City scary, and it may be a repeat. And if we remember from last year, the Chiefs defense wasn't that hot at the beginning of the year, but came week 14, 15, 16, 17, and then the playoffs, they found their footing and lit it up. Kansas City's defense typically comes around in the second half of the year. I think currently, the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC. I think their one game against the Raiders is going to be a fluke. Maybe they drop 1 or 2 more because that's just natural for teams to have bad games. But unless someone gets injured, I say Kansas City they're going to be all right. I put their panic at a 1.5 to a 2. I think they're going to be okay. Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers held off the Tennessee Titans and are the only undefeated team in the NFL remaining. But are they the best? Despite the fact that they have one of the league's best defenses, if not the best defense, they've let the Texans and the Titans in 2 out of 4 weeks hang around in 1-score games. And despite their absolute embarrassment of the Browns, even the Eagles had a chance at beating them. Cademan, is Pittsburgh truly the best team in the NFL, even though their record says they are?
I can't say that they are, man. I think Ben. A lot of people have been saying wow, Ben's looking great. Well, he has a lot of times, and then there's times when you see him throw a garbage pass or way down the line, it's just 30 yards away from any receiver. Intentional grounding comes, or there's times when you see him pitching it to James Conner, and it's just absolutely terrible. And James Conner is doing all he can to keep the offense together. They're using James Conner a ton. He's doing really well. Chase Claypool, not really sure what to think about him because he had 2 big games. Yeah. And then after that, he just kind of is relaxed. And
well, keep in mind, Malcolm Butler, one of the best corners in football, was shadowing him the entire game against Tennessee.
True, but even then, you have Juju.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really mediocre right now. He's not really the number one, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, see, the Steelers have a lot of good receivers, but none of them, after Chase Claypool, seems like they're going to do anything right now. Defense really good, keeping them together when they need to. Panic rate, I'm going to give them a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they do have a pretty easy schedule, seems like. I'm not sure what to think about Big Ben. Still not sure what to think about him because quarterback is great. Usually your team's going to do a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. Steelers, number one, they have a great schedule. They get Dallas, they get Cincy, and they get Jacksonville in 3 straight games. That's, oh my goodness. They get Washington, and yeah, they have to play the Ravens twice, and that's never easy. They have to play the Browns, and even though they embarrass them in game 1, maybe they get things figured out by then. I don't know. The Browns are a weird team, but Pittsburgh, I'm a little bit concerned about them. I'm not going to lie. Their defense, like we said, one of the best defenses in the league, but they're letting teams hang around with them. They could not score in the second half against the Titans. They almost got upset by the Eagles at one point. The Texans game, the Broncos game, 1-score games. And yeah, they embarrassed the Cleveland Browns, but they're the Cleveland Browns, so whatever. Big Ben, granted, some of his picks in the last game, one of them was a Hail Mary at the end of the half, so I mean, whatever there. And then one of them, I think, was tipped up in the air by the defender trying to knock it away from the wide receiver, fluke interception. But that one where he was trying to force it into the end zone into triple coverage? What? Yeah, Big Ben's got to become a little more accurate. He's got to go through his progression a little bit more because right now it's called Deontay. Oh, he's not open? Okay, Juju. And that's about it. I think their defense is going to be fine. I think I'm probably with you, and Lightning Bauer is saying 3 with a question mark. I don't think the Steelers are the only AFC threat to the Chiefs. I think one other team is, but their defense alone is definitely one of the reasons why they could be. For a panic meter, I'm giving him a 2.5. Big Ben is experienced. He could probably figure it out, I think, but it does worry me slightly.
Yeah.
Next team. Sorry. Yeah, next team.
Next team. You know what? It's the Tennessee Titans, man.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, A.J. Brown. Yeah, they lost to Pittsburgh, but they are a second-half team. What do you think about the Titans, Cademan? Are you worried about them?
Honestly not. I mean, they're, like you said, they're a second-half team. The Steelers' defense is having to play the whole game. A second half defense. The Steelers offense is a first half offense. I don't know really what you can say, but Steelers defense was just honestly too good for the offense. No matter how well Derrick Henry was doing, Tannehill's throwing great. He's just getting better every week. AJ Brown, wow, he has come out of nowhere this season. He's just leading the team. And you have Smith and Davis kind of coming behind him, but really, when you look at the team, you really got to notice AJ Brown and Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. And honestly, this team looks, just those 3 guys, it looks very similar. I'm not gonna lie, to the Packers.
Yeah.
You have Ryan Tannehill, QB, really leads the offense. Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. And then A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Adams. Now, the comparison's slightly altered in different ways, but I think you get the point. It's a really good team. Defense is getting better. I'm going to give them – now, mind you, they don't have the easiest schedule.
True, very true.
I'm going to give them a 2. I'm going to give them a 2.
Interesting.
Not worried about them.
Nice.
I'm not worried about them.
I'm a little bit more concerned about them than you are. The Titans, they're a second-half team. I don't think he can live by that, especially when the Chiefs are around in the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill's great. Derrick Henry is arguably the best back in football, and if not, he's definitely the best power back in football. There is no one scarier in a one-on-one type situation that can run over you, no matter how big you are. That's definitely scary.
Yeah.
AJ Brown is healthy. That's great. Lightning Bauer, Tennessee looks overrated. I don't think they're overrated, but I do think their wins look a little bit iffy. They were only up by 7 points on Houston when they won. They were down at halftime to the Minnesota Vikings. Their biggest win right now is when they embarrassed Buffalo, and that's the biggest thing, I think. But like we said, Buffalo's defense is iffy. I think their first 2 games were just early season games. I think their close win against the Jaguars was a fluke. But I am a little bit worried about them. I'll give them a 3.5. I think their defense is definitely a little bit underrated. But I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit worried about the Tennessee Titans for the future. Next team, the Baltimore Ravens. After getting absolutely exposed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've seemed like they're starting to turn it around. 5-1, coming off a convincing win against Washington and Cincinnati, but a little bit of a close call against Philadelphia. How you feeling about Lamar and the Ravens, Cademan?
Yeah. Oh man. I honestly am not sure what to think because you know what? They have, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the easiest schedule in the league.
That's correct.
And so I think we were talking a while ago about, like, are they going to have a wake-up call? Is like when they lost, is this their wake-up call? Well, I wasn't really sure because they have such an easy tiptoe path to the playoffs.
Yep.
So right now, I mean, Lamar is doing not as well as you want him to. He's only thrown for 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, he's also your main running back at this point, which is not what you want to see when you have Mark Ingram and then Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
Brown and Andrews, though, I really like the looks of those 2 guys. They're really stepping up, playing well. Really, the only 2 guys that, in my opinion, and maybe Snead, the only maybe 2-3 guys that Lamar feels really comfortable throwing to. And I feel like now, like last year, he could take his time and decide if he was going to run. This year, he cannot take his time as much. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about this team, man. I think that I'm going to give them a 3.7.
All right.
Your number.
Gotcha. Lightning Bauer says Baltimore can't compete. Lamar is not the same. They can't compete in the playoffs this year. I'm going to go ahead and say I disagree. The Ravens are talented, number one, and they just traded for Yannick Ngakoue. They got him from Minnesota, who's having a great year. So their defense, they're already number 3 in the league in DVOA right now. They got even better. So Ravens are going all out on defense. My main concern for Baltimore is that they don't have enough firepower on offense. Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Yes, they're all very good. Yes, Hollywood Brown is very good. But after that, I mean, Willie Snead, put him on a lot of teams. He's maybe a wide receiver 3. I don't think the Ravens have enough firepower at the wide receiver position to compete with a lot of teams. I think they have talent. I think they're definitely great. But I don't think, and their defense, I think, is definitely going to have to be a catalyst in winning games. But I don't think their wide receivers are going to have enough depth to carry them far in the playoffs at this rate, unless they trade for someone before the deadline. There's been rumors floating around about Gallup, Julio, Amari Cooper, rumors floating around about them. Unless they get a wide receiver, I think the Ravens, I don't think they can't compete because they definitely can. They have talent. Their defense is great. But I do think they will be put at a significant disadvantage compared to a lot of the other teams in the AFC, Steelers, Titans, Chiefs. That's what I think about Ravens. I'll give them a 4 in my concern form right now. Also, thank you on the pronunciation of Yannick Ngakoue's name.
Cool. Next team.
Yep. And I'm sure you did not want to talk about them.
The Browns, right?
Yeah. So the Browns, I mean, they're 5-2. This is the best Browns team we've seen in decades.
And that's not saying much.
And they just lost Odell. Cademan, what do you think? What do you think about the Browns?
Yeah, the Browns are another weird team that are just worse than the Bills. Baker Mayfield is putting up some nice numbers, but he's throwing too many interceptions. He just did. Kareem Hunt, great. I wish Nick Chubb was there.
Yeah. He'll be coming back, though. He'll be coming back.
But, I mean, after Kareem right now, it's not enough, in my opinion, because you know what? Jarvis Landry is playing great, but then after that, you're kind of not sure where to go if you're Baker Mayfield. Yeah, not really sure what to think about this team because they really don't have a defense. It's just not there. I'm going to give this team, I think it was 6.5.
Yeah, the Browns, they are a team of highs and lows. They play the Bengals close and then get blown out by their other division rivals. Lightning Bauer says Baker Mayfield makes good commercials. That's all I'll say about that. I don't know if it's all on Baker. I think definitely he's had his issues this year. Yes, interceptions are a problem. Losing OBJ is definitely going to be a problem later, I think, as well. But you can't really discount the fact that the Browns defense, like you said, Caveman, has been mediocre at best, letting Joe Burrow, who against any other team is getting sacked 7 times a game, put up a combined 64 points in 2 games. That's not good. You let Dallas score 38 on you. That's not good. Both the Ravens and the Steelers beat you guys 38 with 38 points. You guys couldn't get more than 7. I think their defense is absolutely atrocious. I don't think they can make it far in the playoffs. They have 5 wins, but what are their wins against? Bengals, Washington, Dallas? I mean, Indy's the one decent win, but despite I think the only thing they have going for them is an easy schedule, but once they hit the playoffs, I think right now they're headed for a first-round exit. If I'm the Browns, I think I'm looking at an 8. So now we finally get to go to the NFC and we get to start off. What did you say?
What? I said hallelujah. Let's go see it.
We start out with the NFC, and first off, the Seattle Seahawks. Look, we get it. Russell's the front runner probably for MVP. We get it. Lockett and DK Metcalf are amazing. We get it. But their defense is bad. Cademan, the Seahawks are no longer an undefeated team. Do you think that they can get everything figured out by the time the playoffs roll around?
Oh, man, I hope not. I'd like to see the Packers take the 1 seed if possible. But let's move away from that. Russell Wilson is amazing right now. Wow. He did have a couple interceptions in the last game that weren't totally his fault, partly, but not totally. Offensive line wasn't.
I actually think they did well. They protected him well on the deep balls to Lockett. They gave him a lot of time there.
True. They gave him enough time on the deep balls, but then certain times with the run, it wasn't there. You know what? The Seahawks proved something. A lot of people have been saying, you know what? Hey, DK Metcalf is now the true number 1. Well, you know what? You take out DK Metcalf and you just let Tyler Lockett go for 200 yards. You don't see DK Metcalf do that. You don't see DK Metcalf do that, man. So this is a wow offense. And when you have Chris Carson completely healthy, this is an even wower offense.
Yep.
Defense, really worried about them because I don't think they played much defense. Linebacking core is probably the strongest spot, and then I'm not really sure where to go after that. So if I'm this offense has just proved to be so powerful, though. Deep into the playoffs, I'm going to have to go with, and especially since there aren't a ton of other NFC teams that really there aren't any other NFC teams besides one that we'll talk about later that have a really good offense and defense. So I'm going to give this team a 2.
For how scared you are about them? You're not very scared?
Not very scared, man.
All right. Lightning Bauer says Seattle es muy bien.
Muy bien.
I'm worried. I'm going to be worried. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm concerned. One of the things I love Seattle. Y'all know this. I love Seattle. But here's one of the things that I'm concerned about. I look back at the teams and I say, what are their really good wins? They beat the Patriots back when they had everything figured out. Something happened to Cam in the last 2 weeks. But back then, he was clicking with his offense.
Yeah.
And then after that, Minnesota? Miami? Who have they beat? The one good team genuinely good team that they've played has been Arizona, and they lost. And Russell actually showed some cracks. He threw a couple of really bad passes. One of them ended up being an interception late in the game. Seattle's play calling was a little bit iffy on the run game. Sure, Lockett and DK Metcalf are great, but I think it's the defense. They have their least amount of points they let up in a game was 25. They've let up nothing under that. Teams have scored at least 3 touchdowns and a field goal against them every single game. I'm scared. They got Carlos Dunlap. Great job. They just traded for him. Brilliant move. That'll definitely help the front 7, but your secondary is the main problem, guys. I think they get some wins soon. I think they'll beat the 49ers and the Rams and the Eagles and the Giants and the Jets. But it's going to be those Cardinals and it's teams with great offenses that I'm concerned about. They're actually a 5 for me. Because look, Russell Wilson's great, and he's been the best deep ball thrower statistically in the last 3 years. But I think their defense really has some holes in the secondary that they need to fix. Next up, Caden, I'm sure you're happy about this. The Green Bay Packers. They're sitting at 5-1 on top of the NFC North. But their one loss was a 38-10 loss to the Buccaneers. The Packers defense has been questionable at times. They don't cause many turnovers, and no one's going to dispute Rodgers is great, Jones is great, Adams is great. We get it. Are you concerned about them all for a deeper playoff run against teams with good defenses?
Yeah, so that game was really with the Buccaneers, that is. It was I think it was a fluke. Because you had Devontae Adams coming back from injury. First game, he's probably not going to be expected to have a great game. Well, sadly, he had basically no game. Same with Aaron Jones. He had 10 rushes for 15 yards. That was sad. Aaron Rodgers had nowhere to go with the ball. Defense, it was just, you know what? That was just an all-around terrible game. It was just so bad. But I think Lightning Bauer literally just said, I was about to say, once everyone's healthy, watch out. Lightning Bauer says it. If Green Bay gets to full health, watch out. And I completely agree because, we saw what Devontae Adams can do without a number 2. Once they get Allen Lazard back, offense is probably just as good or better than the Seattle offense because Aaron Jones any day is better than Chris Carson.
Yeah.
So if I'm worried about this team, which I am a little bit because you're in the NFC with the Buccaneers and the Seahawks, I will and the Bears. I don't know. They're not the same level, in my opinion. But defense is what worries me. So I'm going to go maybe 3 just because it's a powerful offense, kind of similar to Seattle.
Yeah. I think Green Bay is definitely one of the scariest teams in the league. Devontae Adams is incredible. Aaron Jones is incredible. Aaron Rodgers is having one of his best seasons ever. It's crazy. And I was trying to think, and even their defense, they're nowhere near top 10, but they're definitely not bottom 5. They're a decent defense that can hold you after 1 or 2, after 6 downs and can force you to punt or kick a field goal. They've got a solid team. So I was thinking, what is their weakness? And I thought back to the games that they had lost in previous years. They lose to teams with decent offenses and great defenses. Because if you can even hold down Aaron Adams and Rodgers just a little bit, then a lot of moderately good offenses can take advantage of a decent defense. And I think that's what happened with Tampa. They have currently the best defense statistically in the league. Yeah. And something happened to Tom Brady. Someone flicked a switch in his head over the last 3 weeks, and he's been looking like a stinking MVP. He's been incredible. The Packers for the rest of the season, I think they'll be fine. They don't have that many tough matchups. They get Vikings, Jaguars, Eagles, Panthers. The only place I think they could possibly trip up is maybe Chicago just because the rivalry is always tough, but then also Tennessee. And after that, I think the Packers cruise with a max of maybe 2 or 3 losses. I think they'll be fine once they hit the playoffs, but I think I'm really concerned if the Bucs, because their defense is still going to be great. I think the Cardinals scare me a little bit. Their defense has quietly been really good. And the one thing that worries me is the Packers have actually forced the fourth least turnovers in the NFL. And with their easy schedule, I would have hoped it'd be a little bit more. But I'm not super concerned about them because their offense is out of this world. I'll say 3.5. I'm a little bit worried, but not excessively worried for a team this good.
Off that, kind of what you were saying, like
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, turnovers. I'll just say the Packers secondary needs some work. It should be one of the best in the league. You have some of the best corners and safeties in the league. One reason that they're not as good, injuries. That's one. But then I mean, it's basically the secondary, honestly, for the defense and not forcing enough turnovers. The linebackers, Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, Rashawn Gary, you name it, like linebackers. Woo! And then Kenny Clark is back, so you got a good defense. It's hard for any team to run against the Packers. It's the pass. It's the pass Green Bay has to cover now.
I agree. Completely agree. We got 4 more teams. We'll try to get through these pretty quick. First off, Tampa Bay is kind of insane. Something happened to them over the last few weeks, and they've gone from beating teams to obliterating teams. First the Green Bay Packers, then the Las Vegas Raiders, and their schedule afterwards actually has some good primetime matchups, but also they get to play Vikings, Falcons, Lions, Falcons for their final 4 games. Cademan, how concerned are you? This is a team that's the best defense in the league right now, that's stacked at almost every position on offense, and just got Antonio Brown. Is Tampa the team to beat in the NFC?
Yeah, defense, like you said, number 1, and the rating is for a reason. Kill the run, kill the pass every time. I'm still not totally sure what to think about Ronald Jones, honestly. I think he has really good games when he's just firing out everywhere and impossible to tackle. And then there are some other games where he has like a couple big runs and then the rest are just kind of, it's not really working. So I think Ronald Jones still has places where he can improve. Tom Brady, though, I don't think anyone saw this coming with the Bucs. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I think with how worried panic rating for the Buccaneers. Ooh, Brady is just throwing a ton. 1,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. It's looking good for him. Oh man, this is hard. And then you have another thing. You have guys like Miller stepping up.
Yeah.
When Chris Godwin is out, Gronkowski seems like he's getting back. I'm gonna give this team the 1.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. It's a 1, and even with Ronald Jones, guess who just showed up? Leonard Fournette is healthy again and averaging 4.5 yards a carry. So Rojo doesn't even have to carry the backfield on all by himself anymore. They're stacked at every position. They just went and got Antonio Brown. The Bucs, they're a tough team. What are their 2 losses? 1, week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. Okay, it was their first game together as a team. And then, of course, the loss to the Bears, which I will go ahead and call a fluke. There are very few universes in which that actually happens. The only teams that can beat Tampa are teams with great pass rushes. And when I look at their upcoming schedule, with the exception of maybe Rams and Chiefs, I don't think there's anyone else. There's a high chance the Bucs storm through almost the entire rest of the season and to the playoffs, especially if they keep staying hot. I think I'm with you on this. I give them a 1. I'm barely concerned, and I definitely ain't concerned about that offense. 3 more teams. The Arizona Cardinals beat the Seahawks. Kyler Murray's looking good. DeAndre's starting to get back to 100%, and Chase Edmonds is one of the best backups in the league. Cademan, Budda Baker, and the Arizona Cardinals defense is solid. What do you think about them?
Man, D-Hop is 150%, man.
Yeah.
He is so good. He is arguably the best wide receiver so far this year. He is just everywhere. Kyler Murray's number 1 option. I think Kenyon Drake is just coming out of nowhere, man. I wish I would have drafted him for fantasy football. I don't think I did once.
He's been rough to have. I'm not gonna lie.
Seriously, really?
Yeah.
I thought he would have better fantasy points, but okay.
Yeah, he's actually like most in rushing yards, but Edmonds was vulturing a lot of touchdowns.
Okay, I get that. I think with D-Hop, and then you have like a good running game, and then Chase Edmonds seems like he's getting better. Christian Kirk. I mean, there's Larry Fitzgerald. If one of those guys stinks something up or injured or something, defense proves they can do something. So I'm going to give this team panic rating of I think I'm going to give them a 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like their team a lot. I'm a little bit concerned about if they had the good chance to keep up with the Bucks and the Packers, especially. Those two especially. Those are the teams that I think they could really suffer against. But their offense is great when they're clicking and then they're 100%. Hopkins has been banged up. If he makes it back for the playoffs and he's good, I think they'll be good, of course. And then, I mean, Chase Edmonds and Kenyon Drake running the ball well. Their defense is solid. I'm a little bit concerned just because I don't know if it's the play calling, if it's the inexperience of Kyler Murray, because Christian Kirk's becoming a good number 2 recently. If their Seattle game tells us anything, they can hang with the big dogs. I just don't know how long they'll be able to hang, especially when they're playing better defenses than Seattle's defense, which has been mediocre at best. I give them a 4. I'm excited, but I think these tougher matchups that they'll have coming up against teams like the Rams, the 49ers still have a good defense somehow. And of course, the rematch with Seattle. I think those are the ones I'm concerned about. 2 more teams. Next up, the Bears crashed back down to earth after an embarrassing loss against the LA Rams in which their offense scored a total of 0 points. So, Cademan, do you think the Bears can fix their offensive problems at all, or are they just a team that's only going to cruise to the playoffs thanks to a pretty easy schedule?
Don't know what to think about the Bears. I think I could not be more happy as a Packers fan that the Bears. I'm not going to rub this in too much, but
thank you. I was about to say I didn't rub in the Bucks loss. I would hope you wouldn't rub in.
I won't. I am not totally sure what to think about Nick Foles now. Really, honestly, David Montgomery, Allen Robinson is the one really right now that's leading the offense. Jimmy Graham stepped up some. Mooney stepped up a lot. But then after that, I mean, Anthony Miller hasn't been doing too much lately.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of worried. I mean, you have one of the best defenses in the league and one of the worst offenses in the league. So offense is more important than defense, in my opinion, because you have to, no matter how well your defense does, your offense still has to score points to win, obviously. I'm gonna give the Bears 7.
Yeah, as a Bears fan, I'm trying to think of a time when I've been more panicked, and a lot of my friends were super excited after we were going like what were we, 5-1 or whatever, and we were like, yeah, we beat 2 good teams. We beat the Bucks and we beat the Panthers, and I'm like, yeah, Bucks game is a fluke. Panthers, I mean, yeah, that's a solid win, but they ain't no New Orleans Saints. They ain't no Tennessee Titans, and guess who we got next? New Orleans Saints and Tennessee Titans. I think the Bears probably lose I think they'll get into the playoffs in a wild card spot because they've never lost to the Vikings in Nagy's career, and the Vikings are just tanking. They've traded away all of their good defensive players except Harrison Smith. The Lions, I think they'll beat them because the Lions are mediocre. And then the Texans and the Jaguars are both just tanking for some reason. So I think that they'll definitely win those games, but it's the Packers, Saints, Titans. I don't see this team going very far in the playoffs. Yes, their defense is great against the pass in the red zone, the pass rush. Run defense is okay, but it could be a lot worse compared to some teams like Carolina. But it's the games against good offenses and good defenses. Our offensive line is horrible. David Montgomery, yeah, you can say he's got to run more. He's got to do a better job with his vision, but our offensive line is one of the worst in the league. Nick Foles is getting next to no time to throw the football. And I said when we previewed the game, Aaron Donald was going to be a huge factor. He was a beast. Nick Foles had no time to throw. I don't know if it's Foles' fault. I think 90% of the blame comes on our offensive line. Our play calling is very, very unimpressive. We have done how many jet sweeps to Cordero Patterson? We have run it off tackle. How many times with David Montgomery? I need to see some originality. 8.5 for the Chicago Bears for me.
Okay.
And we get the last team, what a lot of people call the Super Bowl contender, and they've been doing this without Michael Thomas. The New Orleans Saints are 4-2, only behind the division rival, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they've kind of been a weird team where they cut everything kind of close. Granted, Drew Brees hasn't had Thomas, and he's been looking better over the past few games. What do you think, Cademan? Do you think the Saints pull it together? Or are they just in a weird funk in the middle of the season? What do you think?
You got to give this team some credit without Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Alvin Kamara, however, is their main wide receiver and main running back. He's just everywhere. He is basically Drew Brees watches Alvin Kamara the whole time, and if nothing's there, Traquan Smith, Jared Cook, I don't know. Alvin Kamara is the team right now. Defense has things to work on. They're not terrible. They're not the Steelers either. So I think you can't say anything about this team until you get Michael Thomas back. But since let's say he's back and they're playing better, I'm gonna give this team. It's hard. I'm gonna give them a 6.
Yeah, I'll go with 5 because I'm moderately concerned about them. I think their loss to the Raiders was a fluke. It was beginning of the season. Breeze wasn't looking hot. They only had Kamara, basically. I think that one was a fluke. But their loss to the Packers definitely was not a good one. And their defense is one of those teams, like the Green Bay Packers, their defense isn't bad, but it's not world beaters either. They're fine. They'll take you to 6 downs and make you punt, kick a field goal, but they aren't causing a ton of turnovers. They aren't getting a whole bunch of stops. They're letting teams like Carolina hang around for a long time. I think they'll beat the Bears this week for sure, but they've got tough matchups. Bucks again, Chiefs later in the year. I'm concerned about the Saints. Breeze is looking better. To be fair, he's distributing the ball well. Thomas is going to come back. I'll say a 5 when they get healthy, but they do need to get some stuff figured out if they want to keep up with, especially the Bucks. Wow. I love how at the beginning I said I was hoping for a short episode and we went for 40 minutes. But yeah. I think that's 40 minutes of quality content right there, though.
For sure, man. All right.
Yep.
I think that's it, man. So should I finish this off with the verse?
Go ahead, man. Finish us off.
All right. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. Psalm 1 through 2. You should go check out our previous episode. Yep. Did one on the World Series. Check out Allied Shorts, 5-minute videos, fun videos. Yeah, I think that's it. AJ, close us out, man.
All right, Lightning Bauer, thanks for tuning in. Let us know in the comments. Do you want us to do more stuff like this? Do you want us to talk about the worst teams in the NFL and what we think about them? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you guys next time on the one and only Allied Rivals podcast. I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to go watch Thursday Night Football. Have a good day, night, afternoon, whatever y'all are having right now. Hope it was a good one. Peace out.